Hi, welcome to Rastomaze Painting. So, another one of my short little videos. This one we're just going to be talking about putting a primer coat on your models. So there's a lot of discussion about whether you should prime or not prime. I like to prime. It just gives a good base for your base coats to stick. Now, these are primer coats. These are not base coats. You can work off this colour or any of the other primer coats as your base, but I like to do this as a primer like you would with decorating. So primer, undercoat, top coat. So this is what I'll be using. I'll be using Vallejo Surface Primer. It does spray straight out the pot. This is not specifically an airbrush mix. I do like to use this very thin. That's part of the advice I'm trying to give you here. So what we're not trying to do is I don't need to completely cover this in this grey. All I need to do is create a primer coat that will let my base, my undercoat stick well. So I've already cleaned my mould lines. I've checked for any fluff, or because when they make these, they'll ink wash them and they wipe them with a cloth and you get little bits of fur. So you need to go around and check and make sure none of those little bits of fur are there. And quick video, so we're just going to get straight into it. Got my trusty airbrush, give my paint a good shake. I'm using a very light grey surface primer for this. It's probably my favourite. I'm sure if you're painting the ship as a majority going to be black, you're probably better off with black. But grey, it lets you just create a nice even base colour to work on top of. Because you can see there's all different colours on this model. And I'm going to put a couple of drops of Liquitex Airbrush Medium. I use Liquitex for all of my airbrush medium. It is recommended that you only use thinners of the same company. So if I was going to use an airbrush thinner, I'd only use Vallejo thinner. I wouldn't use like a Games Workshop thinner with Vallejo paint, and the same respect I wouldn't use Vallejo thinner with Games Workshop paint. But Liquitex works for everything in my experience. Certainly the paints I use. I don't use every variety of paint, but I use a lot. So let's just give that a little test to make sure we've got paint. We've got paint indeed. I've not got my gloves on because I'm being a bad boy. Now, do not try and obliterate this. This is like a dust coat. I'm going to show you what I mean. It's like milk, right? Because I thinned it a little bit. So turning your model, working around, getting a good. You're not trying to cover it all to grey, but you are trying to get it on and over all in those corners and in the gaps and bits and bobs. So, first little coat, it's like a dust, right? We don't want to go mad. When you start going mad with these things, that's when you're going to obliterate all the detail. The detail's so fine. We dry that off with a little bit of air or a hairdryer. Remember, a lot of the things I'm doing, I'm rushing a little bit for you, but I'm going to talk you through what you should be doing. So always make sure your coat's dry. And then back again with a little bit more. So then each time you go over, it will start to cement that coat. And you'll also get a beautiful smooth surface. Too much, too quick, and you're going to kill it. Nice and gentle. This is acting as a really good base for any other paint that's going on top. You can get a lot of, if you just go and try and stick a top coat over it, there might be a slight reaction with something. This will let you see that now, or you want to see it now, before you go to all the work. I mean, some people would advise you to wash your miniatures in warm soapy water with like a toothbrush, because they have release agents in moulds, which sometimes affect your paint. So, airbrushes, you know, I use them for loads of like detail stuff. But even if you're just using your airbrush to base coat a model, the finish you get is unparalleled. You cannot put base coats on a ship with such flat areas so beautifully and smooth with a brush like you can there. There you go. Right, so she's all shiny because she's still wet. Let's see if a bit of air will help dry that up. That's all we're doing. I need to get my ship in the right spot. That's it. So you can see all my details still there. I haven't obliterated any of those panel lines. I haven't obliterated any of the little gribblies. I haven't overcoated it and lost the detail. There's no runs. A couple of nice light coats. That's what you want to do. Less but more. So more often, less paint. That's it. That's all you need to do. Now at this point, if you guys want to change your actual base colour, you can change your base colour. I'll sometimes work off of this grey, I'll pre-shade and then do a colour over the top. That's for another video, but just when it comes to getting your primers on, that's the way you want to be doing it. Don't kill them, don't go too mad. Use fine surface primer, or surface primer as it's called. It's available in all sorts of colours. That's it, that's one of my little videos. So remember, check me out on my page. One love everyone, peace.